to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. Pastor Holes will give our invocation.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for watching over those first responders of our community as their safety is needed by the help that you alone can provide as they strive to make this community the safe community we desire it to be. Be with those who are holding positions of responsibility in the guidance of this community, with the wisdom that is needed at this meeting and the discussions that we have, that they help this community to be right and peaceful in everything that we do and say. Be with us as citizens of this community, that as we do our part, we strive to be blessed by you for this community to be the beautiful Allen Park that it is. In all things, be with us as we desire to do what is right in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
Clerk, call the roll, please.
All right, Councilman Templin.
Present.
Councilman Cisco.
Present.
Councilman DeGiulio is asked to be excused. Councilman Gavarecki.
Present.
Councilman Rourke is asked to be excused. Mayor Pro Tem McLeod.
Here.
Treasurer Armstrong.
Present.
And Mayor Mategas.
Present.
We have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. I'd like a motion for approval of tonight's agenda, June 20th, 2017.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Templin, supported by Councilman Cisco. Is there any changes, additions, or corrections? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. Thank you very much. A motion for approval of the minutes for May 23rd, 2017.
Motion.
Mayor Pro Tem McLeod has moved. Do I have a second?
Support.
Supported by Councilwoman Gavarecki. Is there any corrections, deletions, additions, changes? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. The organizational business, the city administrator, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. If I may, I'd like to take a couple seconds of time, or a couple moments of time, to yield to Mr. Pat Hawkins, Recreation Director. He's going to give a brief update on our the community build that he just had last week.
Thank you. I don't know if that's on or not, but we had a very successful community build at Champaign Park, which I think everyone would be hard to not admit that's really our signature park here in the city. And we had close to 100 volunteers over that period of time. And we had quite a few sponsors, and without both the volunteers and the sponsors, would have been hard pressed to do this. But I think the result was very successful. If you get a chance, stop over and take a look at the new play structure there. But besides the people that came out to help, we really need to thank the Allen Park Citizen Civic Fund for both the workers and the financial support, Al's Asphalt, the Puccelli Group, Rains and Company, City Towing, Creative Characters, Lowe's, Great Lakes Ace, GV Cement, Advanced Disposal, Jets Pizza, which the Jets Pizza in Allen Park, our city attorneys, Ramsey's Coney Island, Councilwoman Gavarecki, Fran Funeral Home, Big B Coffee, and Wishbone Restaurant. They were all they all provided support in one way or another, and I think we needed it all. And the T-shirt there is what all of the volunteers were given, as well as the sponsors. And we just want to thank the community for coming out. I think it'll be appreciated for generations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Just, can you say anything about Game Deck?
Well, this all came together with the grant that we received from the county, which was an $80,000 grant, and then we parlayed that with the manufacturers and got another $40,000 from Game Time, who's the manufacturer of the equipment. And so put that together, we put it all into one park, the Signature Park, and we probably won't be able to do that again. We need to put some attention to some of the neighborhood parks and the tot lots and things like that. But being the Signature Park, it was well overdue, and if you looked at the condition of it prior to this new structure, it was well needed. But certainly I need to thank the county and Game Time as well.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins.
I had an opportunity to be at the park Friday and Saturday for son's baseball game, and both times I noticed the park was the play structure getting a lot of activity, even in the heat that we had over the weekend and that. So I think the kids are really going to enjoy that over the next number of years. So updates here from my report. The street improvement millage, the contractor GV Cement is nearly finished with the restoration on Regina Avenue. Horger Avenue is open now from Allen Road to Roger Avenue, and restoration has started in this area. They will be pouring the remainder of Horger by the end of the week. This will be the section that is from Roger to the dead end there on Horger. They'll also be installing new ADA ramps at the Horger and Roger intersection. These are going to be a little bit more in depth than I think we initially looked at, because they have to go back and have the proper grade. So they are going to have to go back into the existing sidewalk a slight bit to make that grade proper, and we'll be able to have it within the legal rights of the ADA law. The Belfour Avenue water main replacement project, that water main is now connected at Champaign Road. The contractor, Bricko Excavating, has started connecting the water services and the houses between Champaign and Devonshire. Once those water services are connected, they will turn that area over to GV Cement for the reconstruction of the street, and that should be about 2 weeks or so. The Champaign to Devonshire section should be fully complete, and that is driveway, sidewalk, street, restoration in. I'm not too sure if we have grass growing or not, but that is the goal by September 1st. That'll also be the beginning of the school year. So we are looking to have that first block completely open. We know that that's an area that is used by the schools for various events. I know to the dismay of many of the residents, but we know that at homecoming and various times that area is well used by visitors. So we want to make sure that that was open. Bricko will then, once they're done with the water main portion up to Devonshire, they're going to move into the next area between Devonshire and Berkshire to Ecorse, finish up those water services, and then they'll eventually turn that over to GV Cement as well. And then we're hoping to have everything done. I don't know if I have a deadline on that one. I'm going to guess somewhere around October 15th to November 1st, somewhere in that range. The street sectioning program is on hold for now until July 1st. Obviously, we're at the end of the fiscal year, and the new fiscal year starts July 1st, and they'll get back into the sectioning around the various parts of the city. The CDBG street improvement work will start after July 4th. They're going to be starting near the intersection of Ford Line and LeBlanc Avenues on the far south end. Once the Horger Avenue project is complete, they're going to then move over to Roger Avenue and take care of the area on Roger between Horger and Southfield. They may be a little bit north between Horger and Hanover as well. There's some sections in there. So I'm just going to apologize right now to the residents in that area. I know it's been a long summer with the construction, but once we get that portion done around Horger Avenue, both north and south, Hanover into Dasher, it's going to make a world of difference in that area as well. At the last council meeting, there was a number of issues brought up regarding the restoration of the Arlington and Warwick water main replacement project. A number of the city officials, including the city engineer, were out on Arlington Avenue the next morning. We then met with the contractor Bricko Excavating. They went in a couple days later, pulled out all the dirt that had a number of glass, and the amount of glass that the lady brought to the podium. All of us had a handful by the end of our walk for 2-block area. It was absolutely ridiculous. I've never seen anything like it. I hope to never see anything again in the future. I know we're keeping an eye on it. The contractor used a subcontractor that I don't believe they're using anymore. At least I hope they never use them again. So they removed all the bad dirt and restored the areas with proper topsoil, grass seed, and they're now watering the areas 3 days per week, twice per day when they're out there for their 3 days of watering. mentioned the community build. Senior Olympic registrations are still being accepted through June 30th. The activities will be July 31st through August 4th in Trenton. I don't know if we've announced this before, but the age of participation, and it is not me setting this age of participation up, this is set up by the organization, is any resident, it's open to any resident over the age of 50. Now, I'm not saying that 50 is a senior citizen, I'm just reading what's here on the paper. I have nothing more to do on that. So age of 50 if you're interested in participation. Applications for the Allen Park Sports Hall of Fame are still being accepted until July 1st, and they'll be making that selection. I think that award is going to be handled through the street fair, if I'm not mistaken, right? The DDA is hosting a tree planting event on Saturday, June 24th from 8:30 till noon. In downtown Allen Park, they'll be planting 22 trees, and they could definitely use a few more volunteers. I think Jennifer reported to us this morning they got about 20 volunteers. So if you have some time free on the 24th from 8:30 to noon, they'll definitely accept your help in downtown Allen Park. The DDA's annual classic car show is also scheduled for it's going to be not this Wednesday, next Wednesday, a week from tomorrow, June 28th. They're expecting 250 cars, and then they're also exhibit of classic and modified bicycles. That's something new this year. So there should be a lot of activity going on in the Allen Road section between Southfield to Roosevelt. DT Energy reports that they are over 90% complete with on their LED streetlight conversion. They're replacing every outdated streetlight south of Southfield Road and I-94 with the new LED streetlights. I think that a lot of them have already made it in their way into the neighborhoods. I think that they give a pretty good light for that part. And the good part is, Bob Katie gave me an indication this a couple days ago that we are showing an annual savings of approximately $23,000 from this change to the LED lights. Maybe kind of use that as an own example for your own house if you maybe think about converting to LEDs. There are some upfront costs, but the savings is definitely there. And then finally, again, I'm just reporting the word here. I just type it and I don't make this stuff. The city has received communications from Wayne County regarding the resurfacing of Pelham Road from Ecorse Road to Wick Road. They are tentatively scheduled to begin that project next Monday, June 26th. Next Monday, June 26th. It is supposed to last 40 days. If you watch the news, you know that Anne Marie LaFlame tells everybody take 94 to Pelham Road, jump in, it turns into Allen, and jump on I-75. I sent her a message this morning to indicate that that is not going to be a viable option for a lot of people. So she said, thank you. We'll see if that is reported, and maybe we'll endure the 40 days, I guess. It's just going to be, it's just unbearable. So for the council, I put some paperwork on your seat here for the GLWA's RAP program. We've approved this a number of months ago. Actually, I think we approved it late last year. It's the Water Residential Assistance Program, and it is open to citizens and rentals if they're having trouble making their water bill payment. This is a program that will help to step in and offer them some help on arrearages, monthly payments, and also converting over some issues if they have toilets that are exceeding a lot of water use and stuff like that. So there are income qualifications, but it is a good program. If you can pass that information on to those that you know that may qualify. It is also on the Facebook page, and we do have a number of people already taking advantage of that program as well. So we're very happy about that. Whenever we can get assistance from GLWA. And then just finally, was at the copier this morning, early afternoon, I guess, and Smile Clinics of Allen Park is a dentist. They've taken over for Dr. Hatch's location on Ecorse Road, and I wanted just to give them a big thank you. They dropped off a cake for the police department. They didn't drop it off for City Hall, much to my dismay, but we do always appreciate that the citizens do think about our first responders, the police officers, firefighters, as they are working a number of hours, and always appreciate it. So just a thank you to them for thinking about our police department today and always.
Take a motion to accept and file the updates, reports, and document submissions.
Motion.
Support. Councilwoman Gavareki is moved, supported by Councilman Templin. Are there any questions? Councilman Cisco.
Just a couple things that I'd like to find out about or clear up, because I have some questions about these things. The 2019 bond issues that are due, do we have to pay those in 2019? I'm kind of confused about that issue. Mr. Cady, our bond expert.
Good evening. You're referring to the 2009 bond issue, the
But that are
studio
due in
bonds?
2019.
That they're callable in 2019 if the city so wishes to do so. The city doesn't have to. It would behoove us to pay off the remaining bonds if we can, because at that point, if we were to pay them off, we'd save almost $10 million in interest, because that's what's due on those bonds until 2039, about $10 million in interest, on top of the $9 million in bond payments.
So when bond issues like that come up, we have the right to buy them back.
Yes, they put in a call provision in those bonds when they first put them out in 2009, so that after 10 years, if the city wished and interest rates were as low as they are now, thinking ahead, they could call them back. So that is our window to bring those bonds back if we choose to do so.
And those bonds total how much money?
There's, in 2019, there'll be just over $9 million of bonds outstanding. But like I said, if you were to keep paying on those bonds and not call them, you'd pay almost $20 million back, bonds and interest. So we'd save a lot of money. And even if we can't pay off all the bonds, it's in our best interest to call back as much as we can and refinance whatever's left at a lower interest rate. We'd still be saving the residents a lot of money.
And do you think by 2019 the interest rates will be lower?
No, I don't think so. I think they're probably about as low as they are right now.
Right.
But I mean, I'm sure they're going to be lower than the 7% that they're outstanding at right now. 7.2, I think some of them are out there at. So we'll still save money.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have another question too. So this as I was reading through the packet, you know, I get some ideas from some of our department heads as I read through these things. And there was an entry that per the EM orders, report had to be filled out. So I guess what I'd like to know is, when do the EM orders expire? Do we have a definitive date where these things expire? Because I've heard various answers to this, where it's 1 year after the RTAB, 2 years after the RTAB, 2 years after the EM, 1 year after the EM, then it's extended because of the RTAB. Is there a definitive answer on those orders of when they expire? Is there a...
Council.
Go ahead.
Yeah, through the chair, there are various orders, and what you need to do, you need to look at each respective order and see what it says as to its terms. So it's not an answer, you know, a certain date they're gone. In fact, I think the idea is that many of those orders would stay in place. You know, they're put in order presumably for the good of the community. So the idea is they would stay in place. But having said that, you need to look at each respective order. Now, if the city wanted to change an order, you cannot do that until 1 year has expired from the date that RTAB was involved. So, for instance, if there was an order in place that you'd said, well, you know what, why don't we revisit this? Maybe we should change this. You would have to wait a year to do that.
Well, I guess what I'm more asking for, what I'm really asking for, is there a legal opinion from the state of Michigan that states a time period, from irrespective of if there's a date involved in one of the orders, that a date. Most of these orders don't have dates,
Right.
you know, except when they were written.
Right. So yeah, there is, you know, this is obviously a new area. You know, this law was not totally thought out, but the law is clear. If you look, you know, statutorily, it says you cannot change an order for 1 year. So my thought is, unless you change it, it stays into place
Okay,
until
but-
the city acts to change it.
Right, but that is the point, is 1 year from what?
Oh, I believe it's the date which we had in our tab, and I can verify that for you.
All right.
It's
'cause
just a matter of looking at that statute.
There's been lots of confusion about that over, you know, since we've been involved in this.
Yeah,
You know, about when these orders expire. You know, and I guess that's what I'm getting at. I would just like to know, is it 1 year, 2 years? We seem to dabble back and forth, but you know, do we need an Attorney General opinion about this? Maybe.
I mean, you could ask for one.
I'll call him up tomorrow.
Okay.
But, yeah, I'm still confused about when they expire, when they don't expire. And I know we've never had an order repealed, but we've had orders modified.
Right.
But that's when the RTAB was in place, I believe.
We did have Treasury
Treasury.
modified the city administrator order for the council, because we all asked for that change.
They grant that one.
In the Bogie. One, two.
Yeah, and the Bogie one was changed.
Right.
Yeah. So what
Which
there had
was
been.
egregious, actually. It should have been changed immediately. And I guess the only other thing I'd like to talk about as we look through this, and I was looking through the Department of Public Service, their forestry division, and how many trees we cut down for the month. And I know that Matt Doring's in the office, and I think he is the supervisor of the forestry division, Mr. Murray. And but before I get to that, and maybe ask Matt to come up and talk about trees and how they're doing with the trees, I'd like to know, when we're redoing these streets like Niver and Garfield, and we're cutting down trees, because the machine won't go down the streets, right? So we're cutting down trees. Where is that money being allocated from? Is that coming from the street fund, or is it coming from forestry?
At this point in time, it's coming from forestry, because there was not enough money in the road fund for that.
Okay, so it comes from forestry, so, and you know, there's been talk on Facebook and stuff like that about, you know, dead trees and stuff, and people have dates in mind of when they did these things, of when they called them in, but I'd like to ask Matt to talk a little bit about trees. And I see that we cut down 18 trees last month, according to the reports, I believe. And we didn't really do any trimming, maybe just a little bit. But as what I understand is, trimming is best done in the fall, wintertime?
Wintertime.
Wintertime. So that would get delayed then, you know, unless something's egregious, right? Something's really bad. But let's talk about dead trees. Let's talk about trees in general and how many we have to cut down, and how that goes into complaints of people saying their tree hasn't been cut down in 2 years.
Yeah, and you sat down with us, and I appreciate you sitting down with us.
Yes, let me just explain. I did sit down with Matt and Tom Murray and Bill Miner, the three of us. I made them miss their dinner, so I apologize to their wives and stuff, but we had a nice long talk. Well,
This all started with the meeting, Alan Parker, my favorite site. I'm not on it, my wife's on it. I hear about something that comes up when I get home, and it's like, I don't even want to hear about it. First of all, originally the site was put on there to be positive stuff for Allen Park. You know, but it's turned into people complaining about stuff, and I understand you have the right to complain. But the only thing I have a problem with is when you only get a handful of people in there that don't even add up to 0.5% of the population in Allen Park, and then all of a sudden, everything's up in arms. You know, it's like, and even the councilman experienced this. People were on there complaining on the Allen Parker, their tree's been on the list for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. When I showed him my records, 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, which that could, even a year is not even unheard of in any other city. I've called every other city around. They got lists that are backed up a couple years. It's never, I've been here over 20 years and we've never caught up on trees. You never will. When you have 24,000 trees to maintain in the city, and you got 5 people right now in the department, and that's not the only thing we do is trees, the roads, the grass, the sweeping, everything else we do, you just can't, you know, you can't keep up with that.
How many people in the department?
5.
5.
There's supposed to be 6, we're working on that currently.
We used to have 15. And when we had 15, you couldn't even keep up with that.
But in his defense on that, when we had 15 to 20, no different than Southgate, Wyandotte, anywhere else. You'll never keep up on it. It's an endless battle. You can talk to any community in the state of Michigan, the whole Midwest. You'll never catch up. It's like a pothole. Yes, we fix a street, then that street starts to go. Our trees are maturing so much here that have not been taken care of in 55 years that you're going to only be able to continue to do so many a year, no matter how much money you throw at it, how many people you throw at it. There's just only so much time in a day.
How many trees do we have?
24,000.
24,000.
Well,
Minimum. We're just going on a minimum, you know.
Plus, we take care, you know, we take care of the parks too. Like right now, we're in trimming Champaign. We're taking dead trees in Champaign Park down, you know, make it safe for people there, trimming the trees there. We got all the other parks to take care of too. It's just an endless battle with the trees, bottom line. I mean, you can't keep up with it. It's just hard to do. We do have a contractor, TNT, that's in the city, has been working for the last couple of years with us, and they've made a big impact on helping us with the bigger trees, like in the power lines, you know, bigger trees my guys can't handle, and they've done a lot for us. I mean, they've kept us up, and like I said, since I've taken this over, we have dug ourselves out of a hole of a lot of years backed up in trees. But just this month alone, I've already had 45 tree requests come in for removals or for trims. So to tell you how we do it, we go out, person calls in a request, my trees, I want to trim or I want my tree taken down. We go evaluate the tree. We give it a mark. We say, is it dangerous, you know, from moderate to to severity to the lowest. The people that are severe, which are completely dead trees and stuff, we then, you know, they move to the top of the list because obviously those are the most dangerous trees. But the process is I'll have you sign a contract. The contract explains what the city's not responsible for. We take the tree down. We do it in different stages. Once you sign the contract, I put a big orange X on it. Then my guys come out, take the tree down when it's their turn. We do it on garbage days because then the cars aren't on the roads. They take the tree down, they log it down. We come back, pick up the logs another day. Then we come back and stump it another day. Then we pick up the mulch another day. And then we level it out and then we're done. So it's not a simple process. I mean, you figure each tree, smallest, biggest, could take 6 to 8 hours per tree is what you're thinking by the time we haul everything to Riverview and we do all this pickup stuff. It's a big task. And it's not, that's the thing. The only thing is not my guys. That's not the only thing we do. We maintain the 98 miles of road in the city. We maintain 25 city lots that we cut, 15 commercial lots we cut that the city has, like the bigger lots. I mean, it's just so much. And the thing is when, I guess what frustrates me the most is when you get people that just want to be negative about stuff, just a handful. It's like, it's nothing to me to really get worked up about it because the thing is it's just, that's not a huge amount, you know what I'm saying? We're doing the best we can to keep up with these, but I have people lying about their dates they were on the list and posting it. I have people spray painting orange X's on their own trees that don't have a contract.
And then call and say, we
Right.
haven't
So
cut
you had
the
to come
tree
down
down.
my tree, the orange, the X is faded or whatever, you know, it's like, and I keep my records solid. If I go there and you don't have a contract signed, you know what, you put the orange on your X. There's several people I caught doing that, and we don't take care of it. I mean, it's out of control with that. You know, or people say, the trim list, let's go with the trim list, for instance. Our trim list is about 300 plus right now. I'm gonna tell you right now, the people on the trim list, you'd be lucky if I get your tree in 2 years. Because priority is the trees have to come down. Trimming, if it's an emergency, like we clear stop signs, we clear speed limit signs, cops call me, you know, and tell me, hey, you know what, this sign's being blocked, those are our priorities. And right now I have TNT. Next year, we're gonna start doing a tree trimming in the wintertime, which is better on the trees. It's less traumatic if you study on it. He can knock out my whole trim list next year in the wintertime, January, February is when they'll trim the trees, 300 trees, 300 trims done, just like that in a couple months, because he has the crew. And then when he can go out there and take care of that. So the trimming list is gonna be moved to the wintertime unless it's a priority trim. Like we do some that are hitting a house or someone that's blocking a stop sign or it's hanging in the middle of the road and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But we also have a problem with homeowners that have trees in their own front lawns and aren't in the city easement growing into our streets. Now those, as far as us being able to take care of them, I mean, we probably could, but this needs to be enforced on our ordinance end, because there's gotta be an ordinance out there about a tree that you need to maintain off your own property hanging into my street or over a sidewalk where people can't walk on the sidewalks. So, the bottom line, the forestry in any city is a monster. I mean, the only city I talked to that has kept up with their city trees is Southgate. The only reason Southgate keeps up with it is because Southgate has two contractors. They have a contractor that removes trees and a contractor that trims trees, and that's all they do. If I had the crews that they had, like that, I could take care of all of our trees too, but we don't. TNT is a huge help. I mean, and I want to keep them around, and if they end their contract in a year or so, then I'd like to pick up another one. It just helps us out, because we don't have the manpower, and having them in here and having that's all they do, concentrate on the trees, they knock them out. And the thing is I understand that there's some negative people on Allen Parker, but if you were, I talk to probably the most people in any department of the city, and that's not bragging, because I don't like that. There's a lot of people I deal with. 30, 40 people a day. Complaints, maybe 400 or 500 a month. Or, I mean, not complaints, but people that need things taken care of. We have such a positive look on Allen Park out there with these people that we respond to and answer their questions quickly with emails or phone calls or take care of their problem, that it's huge. The positivity is so big that it'll crush the little negative stuff out there. That's why it doesn't bother me so much with the negative stuff. City Works that we're on right now, the program the city has, the City Works guy came in and he looked at our response times on all of our stuff that comes through the city. We have like a 96% response rate, and he said he's never seen it in another city. This program works for us. We are answering our calls. We are taking people's complaints. We are taking care of the problem. Even on City Works. You know, we're doing the best we can on City Works. Sometimes we solve your problem, but you're not happy with it. I patch your street, you want concrete. So you reopen the city work, you're open to click and fix it again because you didn't get concrete. It doesn't work like that. We try to respond to everything, and I mean, we have a huge percentage, high rate of responding back to people. What I'm trying to say is there's so much positive going on in Allen Park, if you see it from my side, and the calls that we take and the thank yous that we get, that the little negative cell, if you want to call it out there, it's nothing. It's just like like dust in the wind to me, because we're doing the best we can. The city's got a good rep, I hear every day, I'm moving out of Allen Park. Really? It's like, why? Because this didn't get taken care of like that day, and it's, the thing is, I laugh because I talk to real estate guys, I know you can't even hold a house in Allen Park. Everybody wants to buy up to get here. There's nothing on the market. You say you're gonna sell your house, then someone's gonna buy it right away. But it's besides that. It's just, people have to understand just to be patient. We're gonna get to those trees, and we're gonna get to everything that there's a concern that we're gonna get to as fast as we can.
And on the other note, we're just not unique. Allen Park is not unique to having this issue, just so everyone's aware. This issue is downriver, southeast Michigan, Midwest, all the states, for trees.
So when you talk about the service that we hire, the vendor, TNT, they're given X amount of dollars
Yes, we have
per
a
year.
budget item,
They don't
budget
have an
line
open
item.
account where they can just go and
No.
run down trees,
No.
right?
Nope, they have a budget line item that we use.
And they normally take care of the monster trees, the trees that we don't have the equipment for
We have the equipment, it just would take us 3 days, it takes them a day.
a day.
So if you're trying to get the best bang for your dollar, that'd be the tree you're gonna give them.
Plus power lines, we're not trained to be around power lines. There's some that are really difficult, like over privacy fences or houses that they need to do a lot of roping and rigging, and stuff that we don't want to risk the city smashing a house or smashing a car or or whatever, or power lines. There's a fine line there. They are a great company. I like using them, and we've given them a lot of work, and there's been a lot of happy people with their work. I mean, it's good.
So it sounds like the forestry division needs a little bit more money.
Well, you
To
could
move
throw-
things
you
along.
could throw a lot of money at it, but it's still gonna happen every year, every year. I'm not
I
saying
said a
more
little
money
bit of,
doesn't
I said a
help.
little bit of money.
Yeah. I'll
A
take
lot
the
of money.
I'll take the money.
That's what I'm saying.
Wait, are you doing a resolution for us to get more money?
Well, I think we should consider it that if we've got a chance of being able to sort of catch up somewhat,
Never catch up.
and you never catch up, but if we have a chance to do that, I think, that we should consider it as a council and put these issues to rest, actually, because then you'll be on top of it from that point on.
Mayor Pro Tem?
That's an interesting concept. You say that the only city that's caught up actually is Southgate because they have 2 outside contractors. How much money would it take to
Well,
catch up?
Let me give you an example.
Just-
Just gonna
just
give you
the-
dollar amounts. Last year, we had budgeted $75,000 towards outside services. We wiped that out, and we're nowhere near caught up. So if that gives you any kind of a clue,
Right.
you're probably talking a couple $100,000
$100,000.
to even do that 150 trees, not including the 40 trees each month that somebody else might want.
So a couple of $100,000.
That's just a guess. It's just a complete guess.
And that still, you would still have
We would
trees.
still have to have our own crew out once in a while, obviously,
So,
taking care of wind
in
damage,
reality,
storm
we're not
damage.
gonna
No,
be
you're-
caught up.
No, the thing is, obviously, we just bought a brand-new tree truck and Shepherd.
Yes.
Contracting these trees out and working with TNT leaves us with so much plenty of work to do still. It's not even, the tree was a great investment, because the other one is hazardous to my guys. Now we got a nice new truck, it's been out, we're removing trees,
Every
safe.
day.
Even though the amount of money you wanna put towards this stuff, it's also the availability of that tree company. Like TNT and all these companies, they give us like a week here, a week here, a week here, because they're so booked up. Back, a lot of times they can only do their work during the winter, because that's when they're slow and that's when they want their money. So as much money as we put towards it, it's kind of like it's like you're never gonna catch up, and it's just like by their availability, saying they could, putting a lot of that kind of money into it, yeah, I would love it. If there was money to put into that and I could do that, that'd be great. But like Tom said, it's a constant thing every year, and I've been here 20 years and we've never caught up.
We've had on average, I've been here 15 years, I've never remembered under 100 trees, ever. And that's when we had monstrous amounts of people in the DPS with 10 to 15 part-timers included. So it's a constant battle. It's always a constant battle.
So what is the tree budget then?
Well, it's under DPS, and the tree budget for the actual outside contractor is around $70,000 for a fiscal year, which we end up using usually on the big trees. But Matt, as he said, is thinking about having our guys concentrate on the tree portion, have them take care of all the trims, just to eliminate this trim issue we have, because we don't have time to get to trims with all the trees needing removed. It might be better allocated that way.
To take TNT and put
And
them on,
have trim in the winter.
trim
Yep,
in the
trim all-
wintertime?
Trim all them trims up that he's got all the, trim complaints.
Now, would their contract be up by that time, though? I mean, would they have spent all their money?
No, we're talking July on here, the next
Yeah,
fiscal
no,
year.
they'll still be on board.
The
Yeah.
tree cutting is actually part of the major and local street fund.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
And TNT they redid their contract this year with us and kept the same rates, so I appreciate them doing that.
I think we extended that back
did,
last fall,
I
if I'm
think
not
in the fall we
mistaken.
extended
Because
it.
they like working. I mean, I'm
They
not
do.
saying no, and like I said, I'm not gonna go on, it's huge. The bottom line is, and I understand Allen Park citizens are upset, and they get upset about things not being done as fast as they want. I live in Allen Park, and like I said, I've been here over 20 years with the city. My thing is, you gotta understand, the workforce is down. We have 5 guys when we used to have 15. So a lot of the services aren't getting done like they used to get done, like the sweeping, the, different things. It's just more of a rotation now of later, like more weeks before we do it again. So, and I understand their frustration. I get frustrated because I'm the one that takes all the calls, and it is tough. But there is a lot of great citizens out there that are supporting us, that are positive on everything that's going on. That's a big light for me, when we do that. And my guys that maintain everything that they have to in the city, 7 square miles, 5 guys, I give kudos to my guys. My guys work hard, and these guys don't get a lot of credit. You know, and I'm nothing against the fire and the police, but every time everybody says something about this, it's always about them. DPS and water department, it's like there's nothing. There's nothing like, I mean, even in the prayer today, there's nothing about DPS safety. We've got the most dangerous job out there being in a tree truck, if you look at the statistics.
70 feet in the air.
Guys get buried in holes every day in the water. I understand things happen, collapses happen, you're working underground. The thing is, that's the thing I look for, is appreciation to what my guys do and the water department does. You know, and that's what they're looking for. This is a big thing. When my guys get a card from a citizen, I share it with them. If I get a positive email, I share it with them. It gives a smile on their face because they're worth it. They work their butts off on doing what 15 guys used to do in our department, and they're doing it with 5.
Okay. Do we have anything that's
I
new
just-
or additional? Please.
I just want to say one thing, and we could wrap this up, but my number that I was thinking about wasn't $200,000, it was like $40,000 or $50,000
Added to it,
added to your
you'd
budget.
probably get another 35 trees. That, in perspective, would be about 35 more trees done.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Any other, I don't know if that was a question of the city administrator or not.
No.
I'm good.
If there are no other questions, I'm going to ask for the vote. We have the motion. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. Thank you very much. I need a motion for the consent agenda, for the purchasing actions on claims and accounts, payroll report, finance actions,
Public comments.
oh, I'm sorry.
Mayor.
We do have public comments before consent agenda items, so ask the citizens to come forward. Remember the rules of decorum on the back of the agendas, and I hope you will observe them.
I want to compliment Matt and his crew. I live by a city lot, and there's a lot of large,
Your name.
oh, Robert Turner. Morris Avenue, 15255 Morris. Like I said, I live by a city property, and over a period of years, the city has been very cooperative, you know, trimming these trees and cutting them. And I think I mentioned before, we just had a tree fell from that fence line, and Matt came out with his crew, and, you know, 30 or 40 minutes, had the tree down and did a great job. But what I'm saying, those guys are doing their best they can. Let's talk about the new city hall. I go to the fitness center daily, and I get a common question: what is going on with the new city hall? Is the process started, or are we going to start tearing the building apart? What's the status on that?
We are working with the our engineer, or the architect right now. He's finishing doing his drawings and getting everything set for the electrical plan, plumbing plan, stuff like that. So we're in that process now. We do have the project manager, and we're going to be starting to meet with everybody on a weekly basis to make sure we can keep the process
So we're probably
starting to move
talking
in.
July, at least, like. I guess another question, our rent, I mean, our lease is due here in 2018. I don't think we're going to meet that deadline. So I assume you're talking to the landlord about extending that lease for a given period of time. Is that part of the process?
That will be part of the process.
Okay. Okay, next question, let's go where Mr. Cisco was talking about. Understand the sale of the old property, it fell through. So that leaves us short about $2 million to be applied toward the new city hall. And my thinking was originally, we had about $4 million that was available without going into the fund balance. So if this sale doesn't materialize, I would think we'd probably go into fund balance to make up that money. And the state has specified a certain fund balance, correct? But is that going to be a fund, I guess my question, is this going to be a fund balance issue because the property next door didn't sell? You don't have to answer it now, but just, you know, question.
Yeah, in the short term, in the short term, but I think there's enough demand on that property. We've still been hearing from others that are interested in that.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, the name is Malcolm Beaton. In this country, we are a country of laws. You are innocent until proven guilty by a jury of your peers or a judge. Right here in this council chamber, a couple of months ago, an individual was promoted to sergeant, number 2 on the list. The man number 1 on the list was Danny Mack. Check it out. Why was he bypassed? That same individual, Dan Mack, works midnights. No duties, no responsibility, not allowed in the scout car, not allowed to make an arrest, and he gets a paycheck every single week. Are you people paying attention? Please. You hit something on the head here a little while ago, Councilman Cisco, and I'm going to give you credit. On those EM addendums that Joyce Parker left, one of them was to keep Karen Folks the city administrator. It was you and former Councilman Hayes stood up and said she is incompetent. And you had a call for a vote, and it passed 6-1 to get rid of her. But she's a political appointee, so you had to give her severance pay. In there was not to put back the Police and Fire Service Commission. If you were to bring that up tonight, you would be a hero. And do you think Blanchard were to come into this town and say, what are you doing, Mayor, putting that commission back on, giving the police and the firemen due process? I don't think so. Mayor, what you're doing on all of these lawsuits, us senior citizens on a fixed income cannot afford the decisions that you've been making. So I'm going to ask you tonight as a man, tomorrow morning, go into the clerk's office before it's too late, while we still got a couple of shekels left in the Treasury Department and we're not paying it out in lawyer fees. Would you please resign? I'm talking to you, Mayor. Like General MacArthur, I shall return till you follow my orders. Thank you.
I don't know if I can follow that, but I'll give it a try. My name is Dennis Hayes. I live on Carter Street now. I once lived on Manor. I moved around the block directly behind my house, a lot smaller. And when you cram 20-some years worth of stuff in it, the garage and a whole storage building down on London, you realize just how much junk you accumulate. Of course, they're all treasures to us. But anyway, I had a couple of questions. One, I want to echo some of the comments about the Public Works Department. And I take some umbrage and some exception not to take anything away from the serious, dangerous work that the fire and police do. Everybody knows they have a tough job. We appreciate them and value them. But I do take umbrage at the fact that every time we have a pastor come up and pray, it's for the first responders and for the elected officials. I've never heard him say, and our tree men and our street men and our truck drivers and our secretaries and our clerks and all these other people who face dangers of a certain kind on any given day. And I do believe, if you look at statistics, that some of the guys that are cutting trees, taxi drivers, I've said this before, it's a documented fact that fire and police are not the most dangerous jobs in the hierarchy of lists. That's just a fact. There are more dangerous jobs, and we have some of them working here. And when you dilute the workforce down to a third of what they once had, yeah, sure, the police used to be at 55, 60 cops. They're down to 40 or something. They're down maybe 20%, but these guys are down 60 or 70%. There's quite a potential for danger there. So I think we ought to give credit where credit's due. I've never had a bad experience with our Public Works Department. They've always been responsive to me, maybe because I was a former council person or whatever. I don't think that's the reason. I think they're just generally responsive. That's just their nature. With respect to the emergency manager orders, I just looked through a few of them, Council, through the chair, and I don't see anything in the orders themselves that says anything about expiration or this lasts in perpetuity or until such time or whatever. There's nothing in it. There may be something in the emergency manager law of the Public Act, but I don't think there's anything there either. And your comment that if we want to revisit them, I don't think we could revisit them. We didn't write them. The emergency manager wrote them. I don't think we have any say-so in eliminating them unless we just say on our own initiative, we're ignoring them from going forward. And not that I've taken a position on Mr. Beaton's point on the Civil Service League, but let's say that the council decided, we think we'd rather go back to that mechanism. Because as I understand the union contracts for fire and police, they refer to the Civil Service Act 78 as their mechanism for hearings. There is no other alternative. They can go to, evidently, they can always go to arbitration, which is costly, but that's not spelled out in the contract. It says go to the Act 78 process. And finally, I just want to know if, given the fact that we have all these many needs, and I think to talk to Matt's point about the trees, we're never going to get them all fixed, just like we're not going to fix all 100 miles of roads in 1 year. You're not going to fix all the trees in 1 year or several years. But I wonder, and I've often thought about this, we own a lot of vacant land in this city that sits there fallow and really is just, we probably have to cut it and do different things. There's parcels all over the town. I took a tour one time and saw all these vacant pieces of land. Have we ever considered disposing of some of this, putting it on the market, getting some income, and using it to maybe offset some of these outstanding issues like Mr. Cisco raised? Thank you very much.
Jennifer Kippy, Director of the Allen Park Downtown Development Authority. I have to talk fast because I've got so much to cover in 4 minutes. First, I'd like to recognize Troop 1061 for the work that they did in the Pocket Park Saturday. They strung over 250 light bulbs all across the park, and it looks pretty darn amazing. You need to drive by it at night and see. It really changes that block entirely. And we have plans for some other things to improve the park over time. Then, as Mark mentioned, next Saturday we're having a tree planting event for the first of 2 tree grants that the DDA received. So we'll be planting 22 trees on Allen Road. We need volunteers from 8:30 to noon. There's no heavy lifting because DPS has already done it for us. They've dug the holes and they'll place the trees. So you'll just need to uncover them and shovel some dirt and some rakes, some mulch. We'll have refreshments and entertainment and a photographer. It should be lots of fun. And that's getting downtown ready for the car show, which is on Wednesday the 28th, assuming it doesn't rain. And again, that should be a great event. And while you're downtown, you should check out the City Coffee House, which just finished their renovation that was financed by a normal facade grant through the DDA, but also through an additional grant to cover the garage door as a demonstration project. And it certainly changes the look of Allen Park a lot. The intention of that grant was to spur on similar improvements, and we already have an application for a second door that should be approved later this month. So there's lots of exciting things going on downtown, and I invite everyone to come down and take part. Thank you.
I apologize for stealing Jennifer's thunder on a couple of those. As council, we do post this up on the webpage. The report is posted to the webpage, and it'll also be posted to the Facebook page now as well. So I'll keep some of that is in that so everybody can see it that's not watching or here in attendance.
Don't worry, it's hot.
Good thing you got 4 minutes.
I'll be short. Sorry, Mark. I just want to say, and like Jennifer said, there's a lot of positive things going on in Allen Park. If you'd see all the roads we're doing, we have one of the most aggressive road repair projects in any down River City that's going on right now. I mean, the roads are looking great. Man, thank God. I hated driving on them things too. But road by roads get repaired, and it's awesome. I'm just going to put a shout out to the Allen Park two art teachers that I just was dealing with. I'm gonna read this thing quick. It says, the Allen Park Elementary students partner with the city of Allen Park painting 4 snowplow blades in the order to bring color and cheer to the city next winter. Led by elementary art teacher Rachel Trapani and Elizabeth Cunningham, over 50 fourth grade students from Lindeman, Arno, and Benny Elementary Schools worked in shifts on the project during and after school club, May of 2017. The students created concepts, drew the designs on the plows, and painted the murals using house paints that were donated by Allen Park Community. And the hardware store, was it, that's over there, I probably forgot the name, it used to be Ace, but they donated a lot of the paints too for this project. I read about it in a magazine, and I thought, hey, you know what, community's huge in this city. We dropped off 4 plows at the high school place where they do the bus parking. These kids painted the plows up. You haven't seen them yet. So I'm gonna give all this to Jim Gross. I think he was gonna put it on our website with this other write-up, but the kids enjoyed the heck out of it. Those 2 art teachers, and I know teachers don't get a lot of the, respect or a lot of, gratitude given to them. My dad was a teacher for 40 years. I know, I've heard, it's like they take a big responsibility, and a lot of things have been taken from these years, the school teachers. But these 2 art teachers for Allen Park, I think we have the best teachers and art teachers anywhere downriver. We got a great school system. But I just want to put a shout out to these 2 teachers taking their time after school, working with all these kids and organizing this. And when you see the plows, which will be posted on our site, you're going to love them. And they will be on display at some art show coming up in the fall by the school art auditorium on Champaign. They want us to put them on the trucks, and the parents can come by and everybody can check them out. But you'll see them going down the road in the winter. Obviously, they'll probably wear off, but we'll do it again next year for the next students. And she said the kids loved it, and it was a big hit. So that's just a positive thing.
Good job. Great.
Council. My name is Mike Shore. I'm not a resident of Allen Park, but I hope you'll give me a couple minutes to ask a question to. And let me also say, I enjoyed sitting and hearing what your administrators and other speakers had to say, because it demonstrates a great deal of pride in Allen Park. I come here, I live in the Lansing area. I come here as someone who worked for the state for 12 years in economic development, traveled the world for 2 governors, left about a year and a half ago, and now I'm working for companies and investor groups. And all of this is where the rubber meets the road. They are interested in medical marijuana licenses. And as you might imagine, as I call around the state looking for opportunities, it's kind of hard to get through a lot of the voicemail systems. And used to be you could call a number and someone could tell you who you talked to, and you could actually talk to that person. It's gotten harder. So I came tonight. I'm happy to explain that, as you may all know, state is under a new set of statutes enacted last December. The first license applications by the state will be taken up this coming December. And it sets a regulatory framework for medical marijuana that hasn't existed since voters approved it, the law in 2008. Every city, village, and township will have authority to issue licenses, and I won't go into detail on that, because I'm assuming someone here on your staff probably has this information. But I really just came here, as I say, I represent some fairly impressive business people who are interested in both cultivation and provisioning centers. I'm going around the state. I'm visiting with similar officials around the state, and just want to know whether or not Allen Park has taken any action in terms of new ordinance relative to the new state statute, if there's any consideration of that, any thought of any discussion of that. I will tell you that a city the size of Allen Park if it's representative of the state, would have about 700 patients, and they tend to get lost in the conversations that I've had because the word marijuana obviously sends, some people sends shockwaves. But 700 patients, if you had 700 patients of any sort of condition in this city, you might just sit up and notice and say, well, these people have to go somewhere to get the product they need. Like I said, I'm working for people who are looking for opportunities to file for licenses. And I'll tell you that these are business people whose records of successful business performance could match almost anyone. At any rate, I could go on, and I won't bore you unless you have some questions. But I wanted to open the lines of communication and really find out where the city of Allen Park is on this matter and what you might expect or what you expect will be done over the next 6 months. So, is there someone I could talk to, I guess, is the other. If there's no particular response to that, is there someone I could call and talk to? Or,
You can go online and you will look under the 2016-17 ordinances. You will see the latest 2 ordinances dealing with permitting medical marijuana, first as to individual user and then as to the
caregivers?
Caregivers. And then tonight, we are taking up an ordinance, where is it?
Other business.
You know, just.
Anyway, we're having a first and second reading of a proposed ordinance tonight,
okay.
so.
Okay, well then I just got lucky. The previous framework of a patient and caregiver largely goes away in the new state framework. And so I'm happy to hear that I'll be able to hear some of this discussion. So thank you.
Do I have any other people that wish to come forward? Hearing none, then I'm going to go on with our agenda. And it's the consent agenda. I take a motion for the purchasing actions and finance actions.
Motion.
Motion by Mayor Pro
Support.
Tem McLeod, supported by Councilwoman Gawarecki. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. Thank you very much. We're at resolutions. The first resolution is to grant the permit to the DDA for the closure of Allen Road on June 28th for the annual Classic Car Show, pending final approval of our Police and Fire Department. Can I have that? Moved by Councilman Cisco, supported by Councilwoman Gawarecki. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. I need a resolution to bypass the city bid process for work of emergency nature for emergency roof repairs needed at the Frank Latta Ice Arena and to award the contract to Holbrook Roofing for $172,874.
Motion.
Support.
Motion by Councilman Templin, supported by Councilwoman Gawarecki. Is there any discussion on this motion? There is no discussion of the motion. I'm going to call a vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. You had a compelling argument.
He provided a nice
Yes.
information.
I wasn't looking. He wasn't holding a gun on you people, was he? The third resolution is for the demolition of the property at 5846 Balfour by the McMillan Group for $6,000 in fees associated to be paid by the CDBG program. And per the order. Is that court order?
Yeah, yes, it is.
Yes. Okay. As per a court order, and the city place a lien against the property for all costs associated with demolition. May I have that motion, please? Motion. Councilman Templin, supported by
Cisco.
Oh, Cisco, I'm sorry.
We sound the same.
Supported by Mayor Pro Tem McLeod. Is there any discussion of this resolution? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. Resolution to award the bid for pavement striping to R&S Contracting, Inc. in the amount of $41,559, and it's come from two accounts. They have a resolution there.
Motion.
Support.
Councilwoman Gawarecki, supported by
Templin.
Councilman Templing. Thank you. Any discussion of this resolution?
What was the number? The amount?
It's $41,559.
All right, I'm looking at the old agenda. I just saw it on the new one.
Okay. Did you have a question?
No,
Oh. I'll
just
ask for
questioning the amount, that's all.
Ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. Thank you very much. Fifth resolution is to authorize Liquiforce as part of the SAW grant to proceed with repairs on sanitary sewers for a total not to exceed $200,000. Could I have a motion? Motion by Councilman Cisco.
Support.
Supported by Councilwoman Gawarecki. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Glad these guys
That's
don't get
carried.
paid by the minute or by the word up there or something like that.
A resolution, we have a resolution to get the chief a new Pierce fire pumper
Motion.
at a cost of $654,839.01 with funds from, you know what that account is, but to bypass the city bid process.
It's a new capital account.
Capital project.
There is no economic advantage since we're using the Michigan, the MITN process is part of the motion. So I heard two people say that before I got the thing there with Mayor Pro Tem McLeod, and who
Templin.
seconded?
Supported.
Councilman Templin. All right, questions?
McLeod, Templin.
Maybe you can just state the account that it's coming out of, because it's listed here. So it's out of the capital project fund for public safety. Not that I don't know what the account is, so.
It's, all of our capital comes out of this, starting next year's budget, out of a single capital improvement
Thank you.
fund.
Right.
This thing got tires?
Yes, it's got tires.
Okay, good.
Shiny black ones.
And a hose.
When would you expect delivery, chief?
10.5 months from the time we order it.
Any other questions by council? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Carried. Thank you very much. Other business is the first and second reading of the proposed ordinance 04-2017, offenses against public peace, prohibiting offensive odors. Could I have that motion put before the council?
Motion.
Mayor Pro Tem McLeod.
Support.
Supported by Councilwoman Gawarecki, and I'll ask the clerk to give the first and second readings for us, please.
Okay, so we have a, a first and second reading on proposed ordinance 04-2017, an ordinance of the City of Allen Park, Code of Ordinances, amending Chapter 26 offenses, Article 5, offenses against public peace by the addition of Section 26-224 to add a section prohibiting offensive odor. That was the first reading. Now, the second reading by title of proposed ordinance 04-2017, an ordinance of the City of Allen Park Code of Ordinances, amending Chapter 26 offenses, Article 5, offenses against public peace by the addition of Section 26-224 to add a section prohibiting offensive odor. That is the first and second reading, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Are there any questions by council? I hear none, so I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That is carried. Thank you very much. And before adjournment, I will go and add other business if the council wishes to have any remarks. Councilman Cisco.
I'd just like to say, I saw the lights at the Pocket Park at night. They look fabulous. And a shout out to Lucas Eccleton, who was the Eagle Scout, who I believe put that together, along with 1061. There was a bunch of people out there. But I've known Lucas since he was a little boy. And He comes from a great family. His whole family, his 2 sisters and him, they're all terrific. His mom and dad are terrific. And it's no wonder that he's a terrific kid, too. So, Lucas, if you hear me, good job.
Any other councilman? Councilman Templin.
I'd just like to say thanks to all the volunteers that worked on Champaign Park. They had some great weather, a lot of people showed up, and the project looks fantastic. And there's also thanks to everybody else. I mean, we've had Troop 1061, we've got the art teachers in the elementary schools doing the painting. It looks like Allen Park's moving in the right direction. A lot of things are getting straightened up. Thank you, everybody, for their art.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I'd just like to comment on something I saw in the News Herald, and I know a lot of people don't get the printed paper anymore, but once in a while I like to sit there and look at it. And they had a section in this past Sundays, or it might have been Wednesday, because sometimes I catch up. But it was a whole section on academic all-stars. And I encourage all of you to take a look at that paper, even if it's online, and take a good look at the students that are highlighted there from all of the schools in our area, Melvindale, Northern Allen Park, the Allen Park High School, Intercity Baptist, Cabrini, all of them down here, because it's very impressive to see the array of individuals who are doing so well in all of our school systems. And I know that Mr. Turner is on the Melvindale School Board, and they've done some tremendous things there. But one of the things that impressed me when I was looking at it is the diversity of those students. And as I read through the names, it was like United Nations. And I think that's the other thing we need to keep in mind and be proud of. And that these students do well. Many of them may start out not as well-speaking as we are that are native born here. But again, very impressive. Take a look. And thank you all for coming out.
Councilwoman Gavricki.
Thank you. First off, thank you to everyone that came out and put in the man-hours at Champaign Park. I did make it up there after the weekend and saw that there was tons of kids playing on the new equipment, which was good. I'm missing the students tonight, so congratulations to the class of 2017. There was one more thing. Oh, the plows with the paint on it. I know the DDA has a Tata truck. Okay, good. I think it would be a great time to really show off the blades at that time as well. So figured you were on it, but I look forward to seeing them. So thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being positive. Allen Park is going in the right direction. We're getting there slowly but surely, and stay positive, and good things will happen. Thank you, and good night.
I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight, and I too was really impressed with the number of volunteers who came out and gave their physical efforts to get the Allen Park Champaign Park project done, but they also, I think, spread mulch at several other parks. So it was a lot of work that was done by that, I think, 93 or more volunteers, and it was most appreciated. And it was interesting today, I did get a call from a gentleman who said he just thought the parks looked so much better this year, and I think we can thank the Parks and Rec Director who asked that we take that back and that we have our own people cutting the grass and doing those maintenance. And if you didn't notice, the new playscape that is in the park actually is a lot more visible because DPS came out and trimmed some of the trees up so we could see that matter. We've been on that case too of getting the trees trimmed in our parks, and they were kind enough to go out and help finish that whole project. So it is amazing how Allen Parkers come together and make our city a better place. I also was fortunate in the last couple of weekends to attend the Allen Park High School graduation and also the Baker College graduation. And it was very impressive to see the students from those two institutions and have the opportunity to be with them and participate in their graduations. So with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Councilman Templin has moved, and Mayor Pro Tem has supported. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, aye. We are
You want to stay longer?
we are adjourned at 7:15 by the official clock.